With the latest changes, the heads literally go through the roof. It's an alarming discovery. At each stage of the car's development, every decision must be approved. This time there is no doubt. Jürgen Diepold, who's in charge of the entire process, brings a swift halt to the work. The designers want their design, but Diepold demands that it change.
Aber das heißt dann in der Konsequenz, dass wir da nochmal an das Design ran müssen.
Wir müssen dann nochmal an das Design ran und
Sie kurzfristig jetzt dazugekommen
The team meets to find a solution.
Thank you for coming here on such short notice, but we seem to have a major problem. We discussed it yesterday, and the situation with the headroom is simply not satisfactory.
If we could take a look at the model for a second. It's simply the problem we have in this area. We really do need 10 millimeters.
This just can't be true.
Mr. Boyer, maybe we don't really need all that much.
But still, I'll tell you one thing. We can't just raise the height of the roof, because if we have to raise it, and even if it's only millimeters, the whole roof construction is affected, beginning with the A-columns. We can't just make a little change in one spot without it having consequences.
We still haven't exhausted all the possibilities of doing something from inside. With absolute fine-tuning, we might get 2 or 3 millimeters out of it. But that isn't enough. I think it would be a mistake to just let things ride. We've set ourselves a goal, and that already had very narrow parameters. I think we'll just have to bite the bullet, Mr. Boyer, even though we know that actually it's much too late. But if we all work together, I think we can pull it through.
Too bad. But if we have to do it, we may as well start today.
While each element is supposed to fit together seamlessly, if they don't, the design must change. It's expensive and time-consuming. And it's not just the roof that needs fixing.
What we see here is the current state of the development process. There's still a few problems, a few little corners that need to be improved. And then design and technology have to be coordinated to produce processes that function really smoothly. Now you can see at the end of the handle how it merges into the actual armrest. It still has a real step, and the speakers are positioned too far to the front. Then over here, we've got a flat area where all the lines come together, and the parting line for the back cover of the door handle is in full sight. It has to be moved so that it isn't visible from a sitting position. There are a few details like this, and we still have to correct them. It's good, but it's not perfect yet. So there's still some work left to do.
Schon gut, aber noch nicht perfekt. Also ein bisschen was müssen wir noch machen.
The experts meet often to discuss their concerns. The doors and the hood should flow as seamlessly as possible into the chassis. They don't at the moment, but it's not the only problem they find. A sticker is placed at every point where the experts still aren't satisfied.
The turning signals are still too low here, and we'll have to raise them 2 millimeters. And that, of course, means that we'll have to do something about the tailgate, because they're both part of one line. If one goes up 2 millimeters, the other one will have to as well. Design would like things the way they are now, but technology says it just won't work.
They need more space for the trunk.
If design says you need more space, then we need the line to be higher up. That's how things go.
Designers and engineers meet again to discuss the shape of the roof. They've worked fast. The biggest problem may have been solved. The solution does change the line of the roof, but now there's enough room for passengers inside. It was an enormous effort for a few millimeters, but now everyone is satisfied with the results. A lot of work still has to be done. Now the designers and engineers have to find solutions to each one of the problems that have been marked on the model. There are debates on the smallest change. If they do their job right, this car will set new standards for design and style. If they don't, it will clutter up dealerships and cost BMW millions of dollars. With so much money on the line, no detail is too small to be considered.
When we design a wheel, it's naturally intended for use on a car. We don't just design any kind of wheel and then try to attach it to an automobile. At BMW, cars are constructed like a suit, being tailored for a particular person. And now suppose you want a pair of nice shoes for this beautiful tailored suit. You can't just take any shoes. You might get lucky, but then again, you might not. What I think is that you can hardly see the difference between 18 and 19 inches.
These long spokes make it look bigger, and they fit the car wonderfully.
No, we can leave it that way. With the front one, I don't know. 17 inches fits the car, no question about it. But we have a completely new car here, and the whole world's going to be looking at it, and they're going to be thinking, haven't I seen that somewhere before? So maybe we need a little bit more. We need the strong spokes on the other side, because the spokes are what's bearing the car. If they're too fine, it starts to look spidery. The spokes have to look stable.
The exterior of the new model is coming together. But before the car is made, it must pass another test, this one in the wind tunnel. What engineers find here will further change the look of the new car. For more than 60 years, BMW has made some of the finest cars in the world. To universal applause, they've pushed the limits of speed and style. They hope to do it again with a sports car codenamed the E63. For months, designers and engineers have been tinkering with the look of the new model. With many of the exterior changes in place, the car takes a ride in the wind tunnel. It's a critical moment, especially for the convertible. Putting the top down could ruin the quiet ride. A dummy takes the place of an actual driver. Sensors record everything. Engineers need to know not just how the air flows, but how the driver and passenger are affected by heat and cold. Good aerodynamics are critical for the outside of the car too. Minimizing drag and resistance will improve fuel consumption and safety. The air resistance of an automobile is described by the so-called CW value. In order to keep it as low as possible, the builders have developed an especially streamlined body. With the convertible, the aerodynamics have to stay the same, whether the roof is up or not. What these engineers find forces more changes to be made. Originally, the taillights had a smooth surface. They looked great, but tested poorly in the wind tunnel. New elements, trailing edges, were added to the lights to solve the problem. With these aerodynamic bugs ironed out, the car now handles better. Fuel consumption is lower, all without ruining the overall flow and design of the car's exterior.
Ja, das kann man super. Ja, danke Modellbau auch.
Gut, gebe ich weiter.
The drive for success includes the internal pieces of the puzzle too. Whether it's the onboard computer or the windshield wipers, all the electrical components have to work together perfectly. What good is a beautiful car if the windows don't work? As many as 60 control devices are tested here, long before the first car is ever mass-produced. The time for change is over. For months, every part of this new car has been under the microscope. Tiny changes have been made, inside and out. But it now has to stop. From here on in, there'll be no more changes in the appearance of the car. For good or bad, the decisions are made. People in the automobile industry call it the freeze. This is the car BMW has bet millions on. Now, it's time to start selling. "6 a.m. in southern France. A film crew is preparing to shoot. It wants to catch the magic golden light of sunrise.
And then we turn around. The question is, I don't know if we're gonna do it. I mean, can I get these 2 shots done before?
For more than a year, teams of BMW designers and engineers have worked hard to create a new car. Now the marketing arm of the company is getting involved. It wants to capture an early impression of how this car will look when it hits the streets. 2 of the new cars, perfect down to the last detail, are the stars of the morning. They look great, but they're fakes, made of plastic. The actual cars haven't been built yet. In fact, these cars don't have a real gas tank and only a small motor able to reach just 40 kilometers an hour.
And action.
But it's good enough for the marketers. Slow and plastic. Still looks great if you film it right.
We always start with the idea of one picture is worth 1,000 words. So we do it in imagery, in film, CD-ROM, photographs, to really explain the emotional power behind the new car.
So it should be a very beautiful, dynamic shot at the end.
Oh, perfect roundabout. And we'll have to be very careful of the shadows. Time of day, I assume it's evening magic hour then? Design is definitely a mixture of art and technology, or art and business. It really is, I think, fine art for a purpose. So, focused fine art, maybe. In my personal opinion, people are born with a gene in their body. They're going to be a car designer.
This first wave of marketing will help create an appetite for the car. It's vital work. BMW wants the new sports car to compete with high-end Mercedes. But there's a lot of work yet to be done. The first prototypes are just now being built. The same focus that was trained on the design of the car will soon be turned to its performance. Each component, from the chassis to the electrical system, has to be tested in practice. These prototypes will be exact replicas of the cars that will eventually be mass-produced. These ones, though, are handmade. Every component lovingly manufactured and built. But when they're out in public, they'll be hidden, camouflaged so you'll never recognize them. They are called Phantoms, and they must pass grueling tests if this new car is going to succeed. Years of hard work are behind them. Millions have been spent. But BMW still doesn't know if this car will succeed or fail.